And a tragic update out of Escambia County, Florida tonight. The body of a private investigator missing for more than a month has been found.
Saying that body they found around noon today is believed to be that of Taylor Wright.
Deputies have charged Wright's friend, Ashley MacArthur, with second-degree murder.
Hello?
Hey, Zach, your wife is, she's being arrested this evening and charged with murder.
What?
Ashley MacArthur. She's accused of murdering Pensacola private investigator Taylor Wright.
I don't know where she is.
Where's her body at?
I don't know where she is.
She's dead, though. You know that?
We had a young woman, Taylor Wright, that was murdered. There was no question about that. She was shot in the back of the head and buried.
Do you know where Taylor Wright is? Do you know if Taylor Wright's dead? Did you kill Taylor Wright?
And what else did she say about finding her?
That she told me they'll never find that bitch. She's gone.
There will be no physical evidence showing you that Ashley MacArthur had anything to do with the death of Taylor Wright.
As to the charge in count 1, we, the jury, find the defendant, Ashley MacArthur.
Lower County 911, what's the address of your emergency room?
Okay, your wife is in a bar. You said she's unresponsive.
This is what he's going to tell you. How to get out of that situation.
And I grabbed the gun.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir.
The only thing they could do was kill him.
You want to say anything?
We, the jury, and to find the defendant.
It's a beautiful place. We're a place where people vacation.
So we have the Pensacola Naval Air Station.
Love our Blue Angels, world famous for those. It's a great town, a great place to raise your family.
Like all cities, we do have murders, but you know, anytime a murder comes up of this nature, it certainly draws attention.
First name is Taylor, last name is Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T.
Taylor Wright was 33 years old when her body was found, more than a month after she had been first reported missing.
Taylor should have called me. Taylor would have called me, and she didn't.
She was a former police officer from South Carolina turned private investigator. The mother of an 8-year-old son, Taylor moved to Pensacola after a contentious divorce and fell in love with a woman.
We met on an online dating app. We were in a relationship for a short period of time, but enough time to have sincere feelings and to say that I love this person, and she's told me she loved me back.
Cassandra Waller is a public school administrator who soon invited Taylor to move in with her.
She was kind, she was outgoing, she would give you the shirt off of her back. She was full of life, she was full of energy, she had all kinds of hope, had great big giant ideas.
But there were issues in Taylor Wright's life. Her new girlfriend suspected she was using drugs and had caught Taylor cheating on her with another woman. And Taylor and her ex-husband, Jeff Wright, were still fighting over their son and their money.
I just know that Taylor didn't feel like it was equal.
In violation of the court orders, Taylor had withdrawn $100,000 from a joint account with her ex-husband and asked another of her new Florida friends, Ashley MacArthur, to help her hide the money by putting it in Ashley's bank account. But now the divorce judge had ordered Taylor to show up with the money or face jail.
So the night before Taylor went missing, we went out to eat, and Taylor was just really stressed out. She was talking about how Ashley was holding on to this money, that Taylor needed to get it back, and she felt awkward about it. She felt like something wasn't right.
The next day, Taylor and Ashley were set to go to a bank in Pensacola to pick up the money Ashley had been holding for her.
And we gave each other a hug and a kiss, and at that time I'm walking out of my driveway, Ashley pulls up. I say, "Hey, Ash," and she's like, "Hey, Cassandra," and I said, "You guys have a good day." I got in my car and I drove away. That was the last time I ever saw Taylor.
A few hours later, Ashley called Cassandra to say that instead of going to the bank, she and Taylor had driven out of town to go horseback riding on a farm in East Milton, owned by Ashley's family.
I was like, weren't you guys supposed to go to the bank? She goes, yeah, you know, Taylor's really stressed out with the divorce stuff, and she's just been really emotional today. These are the things that she's telling me. Tell her everything's fine. Like, we'll get through this.
Later that night, she got this text message from Taylor's phone.
Saying, I'm sorry, like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I started getting angry and upset because here we were in a relationship. I'm thinking Taylor is telling me that she needs time to herself and she's not including her partner, and that hurt my feelings.
And as the days and nights went by, Cassandra Waller was both worried something had happened and then angry Taylor might have left her for someone else.
I sent her texts, I tried calling her, nothing. No responses, nothing.
But after more than a week, what had begun as a missing persons case for police soon took on an ominous cast.
Everyone is initially a suspect. So certainly Taylor's ex-husband was certainly on everyone's radar, and Cassandra, Taylor's girlfriend at the time.
But very early on, we treated it as if it were a homicide.
Being handled by two detectives, Chad Wilhite and Richard Gigliotti, who had just been promoted to detective.
The first thing we did with this case was contacted Cassandra Waller.
There was a time they came to my house, and at one point, Detective Gigliotti crawled under my house. So I'm sitting on the front porch with Detective Wilhite bawling my eyes out because this is embarrassing. Why am I being looked at?
My intention right now is not to arrest you for anything. I'm trying to find out why your girlfriend's disappeared.
And here I am in this room that they would use to interrogate people, and it's padded walls. It's a place you don't want to be.
I can't help but be scared that I'm going to get in trouble for something that I did when I was trying to help.
She's in her inner circle. She's her girlfriend, so she needs to be pressured as well during the interview to gauge her reaction, see how honest she's being with us. Those questions do got to be asked. If you knew who harmed her, would you tell us?
Absolutely.
If she was dead right now and you knew, would you tell us?
I don't know.
Did you harm her?
No.
They asked me if I killed Taylor, and I lost it.
When Ashley MacArthur was brought in for questioning as the last person known to have seen Taylor Wright alive.
So let's start that day from the beginning.
She said she doubted any harm had come to Taylor Wright, offering suggestions about her whereabouts.
She wanted to appear as though she was cooperative, right? And she didn't want to deny anything that we asked. She wanted to seem cooperative.
Telling the detectives Taylor might just be off on a drug binge.
The only thing I worry about is with the drug situation. Like, I wouldn't even, if I didn't know about the drug situation, I wouldn't be worried about her. I would say Taylor's doing what Taylor does. But then that lifestyle becomes a different group of people.
Sure.
Which is what I worry about with her.
Sure. And we don't know that she ever had intentions on leaving. Maybe she wanted to go have fun, and then someone found her with a bag full of cash. And that's why we have to follow down every single avenue and ask all these questions.
Cassandra's understanding was that this money was in a safety deposit box of Ashley MacArthur's at Wells Fargo. So when Ashley was asked about a safety deposit box at Wells Fargo, she said that there was nothing.
Have you ever had a safety deposit box there?
No.
There was no safety deposit box, there was no account at Wells Fargo with money. That didn't happen.
But text messages on Taylor's phone made it clear Taylor thought her money was at the Wells Fargo.
Talking about meeting at the WF, likely being the Wells Fargo. Needing to get there, needing to get the money. Clearly that was a problem. We spent time driving the route that Ashley MacArthur gave us, that they took, looking for surveillance footage.
They found this surveillance tape at a gas station nowhere near the bank, where Ashley says they stopped to buy Taylor a beer around 10 in the morning.
Have you ever seen her drinking at that time of day before? That was odd behavior.
And in fact, I said something to her. I was like, beer at this time of the morning? She was like, well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm like...
It's a perfect response.
Then, Ashley told the detectives, they headed out to the horse farm in East Milton.
So we just drove out there, and she was just blowing off steam, I guess, and drinking beer. And we were just hanging out. She was a strange girl.
Ashley claims she then drove Taylor back from East Milton to Ashley's home, and that Taylor called an Uber and left.
She was fine. She just said that she wanted to go have a beer and that she was going to get an Uber to take her to go have a beer.
What detectives would soon discover was another claim from Ashley MacArthur that would not check out.
When we contacted Uber, Taylor's account hadn't been used in months.
Something was wrong. Something was definitely wrong.
Now, more than a month since Taylor Wright went missing, Cassandra Waller was increasingly desperate to find out what happened to her, pleading for help on Facebook.
Nobody's reached back out to me. I still haven't heard from her. Nobody's heard from her. So I'm calling hospitals in Louisiana, in Mississippi, in Alabama.
And Ashley MacArthur was busy calling the detectives to suggest where Taylor Wright might be hiding.
Hey, Detective Daylight. Ashley, how are you?
Well, how are you?
Unaware that she had become the prime suspect.
She got back on the cocaine, and, do we need to, look in alleys, for her? Or?
She's definitely curious on what we're doing and where we're at.
She's definitely fishing for information, but we didn't want to tip her off.
I was just calling to see if there was any update or anything going on.
And so, on a regular basis, she would call me. And I had to, of course, be friendly with her.
I hate to bother you, but I just check.
All right, thanks, Ashley.
I couldn't answer the phone, Shirley, and say, yeah, so, we'll be arresting you here shortly. You just wait.
The turning point in the case came from the records of cell phone towers, which keep track of which cell phones are nearby.
Your cell phone's always communicating with a cell tower. And the cell phone companies know exactly which tower it's communicating with.
And the data showed that Ashley's timeline, her alibi, did not check out.
And when we got that information, that's when we really found out, okay, Ashley and Taylor never went out to this East Milton family farm that Ashley was saying they went out to, where they were supposedly riding horses. We knew right away, very big deal.
The tower records instead showed her on that day about 30 miles away in the northwest part of the county.
And what is she doing up there? Detective Alverson and I she had the great idea of, let's check the property appraiser's website. And we typed in Ashley's maiden name, which is Brit, and it popped up. The first property record search found 2201 Brit Road. And lo and behold, it was in the cell phone tower information that we were receiving. It was right in the middle of all that data. It was a good moment. We're like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
And at that point, were you pretty sure she was the one?
Oh, certainly. Yes. Certainly. We had cell towers of her lying, we had the bank records, her depositing the money, and we have surveillance footage from banks showing her depositing Taylor Wright's checks. Checks that are signed Taylor Wright, but it's not Taylor Wright's signatures. They're not her handwriting.
But the detectives had to keep a tight lid on their suspicions because Ashley's husband, Zach, was also close to people in law enforcement, a former county sheriff's deputy.
In fact, we didn't tell many people here that Ashley was a suspect in the case because we didn't know what ties she had with people.
Now it was time to bring Ashley back in for what would be a showdown round of questioning.
Hi, how you been doing?
We've turned up some things that we don't really know what to think at this point.
We knew this was going to be our last interview because at that point, we knew all the 3 simultaneous search warrants were going on at her house, at the farm, and at her family business.
So before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say against you can be used against you in court.
Detective Gigliotti played the role of the good cop. Will Height the bad cop.
I don't have a problem confronting people with what I know is a lie. Someone has to play that role. I was fine with it at that time.
Starting with the cell tower data.
You have the ability to plot all your phone calls for that day. But when we started plotting all the phone calls that you and Taylor were making that day, there were some discrepancies in what you had told us.
Okay.
Okay. We know that you didn't go to Milton when you said you went to Milton.
We did go to Milton.
Not when you said you went there. You went that evening.
Next, Taylor writes checks.
Do you know whose signature that is?
It says Taylor's name, but it doesn't really look like her signature.
Would you have maybe wrote her name on there by chance?
Probably not.
And then finally, what happened at that farm on Brit Road.
What were y'all doing out there at this farm? We know y'all were there.
We picked up some stuff that Taylor had there that
What was
that she had stored. Some kind of lockbox that she had.
Why would you not tell us that originally?
Because she asked me not to tell anyone ever.
It's not good. It's a lie.
I gotcha.
Okay.
She seemed to get really closed off, I would say, kind of turning away.
I think she crosses her arms and her legs, if I remember correctly. I think I actually reach over and try to break that defense down.
Look at me for a second. Don't cross your legs and look at me for a second.
So you could tell she was definitely uncomfortable at that point.
What was going through your mind at that time?
What do you mean?
What were you thinking about?
No. It was just kind of a regular day.
Regular day?
I mean, that.
If it's so regular, why would you tell us about this? Even if she didn't want you to tell us now, we're working a missing person case where your friend for over a year is missing.
I honestly didn't think it was very important to this at all.
The detective was having none of it.
Where is Taylor at? You need to tell us where she's at.
I don't know where Taylor is. I don't have a clue.
So you're the only one that was with her on this day at this farm that you did not disclose to us?
I didn't do anything to
You
her.
say this, if she's at that farm, we're going to find her because we're executing a search warrant out there right now.
That's fine, but she's not going to be there.
Then where's she at?
I don't know where she
Where's
is.
her body at?
I don't know where she is.
She's dead though. We know that.
She had two options, either tell us what took place out there or ask to speak to an attorney and terminate the interview.
Tell us what happened.
I think at this point I need an attorney.
The detectives had no choice but to let Ashley MacArthur leave the police station. The search at the Brit Road farm had still not turned up anything.
About an hour or two after she walked out of this department, I was on the phone with one of the supervisors out on the Brit Road property, and someone yelled in the background that they had a skull. I had no question, and I think either of our minds, that this was most certainly going to be Taylor Wright's remains.
And a tragic update out of Escambia County, Florida tonight. The body of a private investigator missing for more than a month has been found.
The body found in a shallow grave at the Brit Road family farm, covered with concrete and potting soil.
Hello? Hey, Zach, your wife is, she's being arrested this evening and charged with murder.
What?
But Ashley MacArthur had not broken under the questioning, had not confessed to anything. Would there be enough evidence for a jury to convict?
For the record, we're here on the state of Florida versus Ashley MacArthur. Defendant is present with counsel. Assistant State Attorney is present.
And once again, the Law and Crime Network has picked a phenomenal trial, Florida versus Ashley MacArthur.
But there's cameras here, there's camera over there, there's microphone. This has nothing to do with you. If anyone has to sit up straight, it's me. If anyone has to put on lipstick, it's me. This is a criminal case. The defendant is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. I think I've covered everything. I think of Ms. Jensen. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. What you will see at the end.
Bridget Jensen is the chief of the homicide unit in the Escambia County District Attorney's Office.
I think one of the most difficult things to overcome was Ashley herself. She was this very small, very pretty, kind of meek, quiet-spoken female who'd never been in trouble. So from the outside looking in, no one would think that she would do something like this. And really what you will see in the end is that Ashley MacArthur had the motive to kill Taylor Wright, money. She had the opportunity to kill Taylor Wright. She did in fact kill Taylor Wright, and then she tried to cover it up. But to get to that ending, we have to start at the beginning. Taylor Wright withdrew $100,000 from the bank when she wasn't supposed to, and then she was trying to hide that money from her ex-husband. And she also asked her friend, this defendant, Ashley MacArthur, to help hide the money. You will see the pressure that Taylor Wright was putting on Ashley MacArthur to get this money. And the reason that matters is because the money was gone. Ashley MacArthur had spent it. Friday, September 8th, 2017 is the last day that Taylor Wright is known to be alive. She was with this defendant, Ashley MacArthur, and they were supposed to be going to the bank. Taylor Wright was never seen alive again.
Ashley MacArthur was represented by a father and son team of lawyers, Barry and John Barasset.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as you sit through this case, you will see the evidence isn't there. There's reasonable doubt in this case, and that's what I was trying to convey to them in the opening statement. There will be no physical evidence introduced in this trial showing you that Ashley MacArthur had anything to do with the death of Taylor Wright. There will be no eyewitness testimony introduced into evidence showing you that Ashley MacArthur had anything to do with the death of Taylor Wright. There will be no murder weapon introduced into evidence that has any connection to Ashley MacArthur.
The first witness called by the prosecution was Taylor Wright's ex-husband, Jeff Wright, who had briefly been considered a possible suspect.
Were you and Taylor legally divorced?
Yes.
Essentially had to clear him. And I think if the jury didn't hear from him, it would be probably a weakness for the state's case. Mr. Wright, did you reach out to Ashley MacArthur on Facebook?
I did.
And did you ask her if she maybe knew where Taylor was?
I did.
And what responses did she give you?
She said that she had last seen Taylor with 2 backpacks, significant amount of money, that Taylor was nervous about the upcoming trial.
The defense used Wright's testimony as an opportunity to raise a question of whether he had a motive to harm Taylor Wright.
She had antagonized a lot of people, and especially over the divorce and the money issues with her husband.
Fair to say that Taylor Wright was making it very, very difficult for you to get this money back.
That is correct.
But MacArthur's lawyers knew that police had established Jeff Wright's whereabouts hundreds of miles away in North Carolina, and they knew better than to outright accuse Jeff Wright of the murder.
Yeah, we can't lose credibility with the jury. We can't make it so incredible that they don't believe us.
On the second day of the trial, the prosecution called Taylor Wright's girlfriend, Cassandra Waller. She was nervous about making eye contact with Ashley.
Now, do you see Ashley MacArthur in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you please point to her and identify what she's wearing?
She's right here. She's wearing a black outfit.
And then I looked at Ashley. Ashley never looked at me. Ashley was always looking down at her scribble pad.
Let the record reflect this witness has identified the defendant. During the course of your relationship with Taylor Wright, did you ever have an opportunity to see her handwriting?
Yes.
Did she write you letters?
Yes.
Did she give you cards?
Yes.
Were you familiar with her handwriting and her signature?
Yes.
Again, I'm showing you State's Exhibit number 26, Does that look like Taylor Wright's handwriting?
That is not Taylor's handwriting.
Or her signature?
Or her signature.
But on cross-examination, Cassandra Waller testified she never saw any evidence of threats by Ashley MacArthur against Taylor Wright.
In all the times that you saw Ashley MacArthur and Taylor Wright together, you never heard, saw anything to indicate to you that Ashley MacArthur was threatening to harm Taylor Wright, causing her, going to cause her any physical harm, anything like that?
No.
And no indication that Taylor Wright was scared of her or anything like that?
No.
The defense then raised questions about Cassandra's own, at times, challenged relationship with Taylor Wright, citing the text she had sent to Taylor on the first day she was missing.
As those text messages show, you called her a liar.
I did.
You called her a drug user.
I did.
What I was trying to point out is that Taylor had a somewhat volatile life. Going back to late July 2017, you indicated to us that you received information that Taylor was having some sort of relationship with another woman over in Mississippi, correct?
Yes.
She had this secret girlfriend in Mississippi. She was known to use drugs. Just because you don't hear from her on September 8th or 9th doesn't mean she was murdered at that point. That was the point I was trying to make with Cassandra.
It's got to be clear as day that I have nothing to do with this. And the fact that they still played that I could have possibly been somebody for the jury, that could have ruined my reputation, my professional career. They'll throw anything and everything out there. That's not okay.
Testimony would show that Ashley came from a solid middle-class family, but could often be found in strip clubs and sketchy bars, where her girlfriends and a bartender testified she talked the night before Taylor disappeared about killing her with an overdose of cocaine she had just purchased.
Did Ashley tell you, either before, during, or after you went to Babe's, what she was going to do with the cocaine?
She said that she was going to put it in Taylor's beard.
What did you hear Ashley say?
That this world would be better if Taylor wasn't here and that she wasn't a good person.
There's one time she said that she's too small to hurt anybody, she'd just shoot them.
And then this, the night Taylor went missing.
Did you ask Ashley what she did with the cocaine?
That she put it in her beer and Taylor spit it out because she said it tasted sour.
The prosecution's case depended heavily on Ashley's motive, that she could not give back Taylor Wright's money because she had already spent it on a man with whom she was having an extramarital affair, a bar owner named Brandon Beatty.
At some point, did you and Miss MacArthur start a sexual relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I was able to trace $30,000 in cash that Ashley had used to buy her boyfriend a boat.
Was she paying the Gulf Power bill at Styx?
She did a couple times.
Was she buying supplies at Sam's Club for your business?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Okay. In approximately August of 2017, did she buy you a motorcycle?
I'm not sure the date, but yes, she did purchase a motorcycle.
Okay.
A purchase made a few weeks before Taylor Wright went missing.
How much and how often was Ashley MacArthur spending money on you? I'm sorry?
I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Pretty regular.
And what did she say about her friend being missing?
The police had took her phone, or she told me that the girl had ran off with her husband's money or something, and just gone.
Okay. And what else did she say about finding her?
That she told me they'll never find that bitch. She's gone.
But the defense would have its own cards to play, including a video of Ashley MacArthur that would give her lawyers a surprise opening to undercut the prosecution case.
Hurricane Dorian, now a Category 2 storm, strengthening this morning, threatening to hit Florida as a major Category 4 hurricane.
In the middle of the Ashley MacArthur murder trial, Pensacola came under a hurricane watch. And in the courthouse, Judge Jan Shackelford urged the lawyers to speed things up.
So what I read in the most recent update was alarming.
Showing Dorian on the move, you see it right there, making its way through the Atlantic. As you can see, this storm is just getting bigger and bigger.
But prosecutor Bridget Jensen was intent on playing the full 6 hours of the 2 police interrogations of Ashley MacArthur.
I think that was important because the jury gets to see Ashley MacArthur.
I wouldn't think so. Like, I don't believe Taylor's been harmed. I think Taylor's doing what Taylor does.
If you looked at the first interview, Ashley was almost kind of flirty, maybe a little playful with law enforcement.
Has she ever come on to you or?
Taylor asked me one time if I would have a threesome with her and some guy. And I'm like, no thank you.
And the second interview, her demeanor was so different. I think she knew at that point, she was probably caught.
So you're the only one that was with her on this day at this farm that you did not disclose to us?
I didn't do anything to her.
If she's at that farm, we're going to find her because we're executing a search warrant out there right now.
That's fine, but she's not going to be there.
So it was good, I think, for the jury to see that she had lied, and she got caught up in her lies and couldn't come up with excuses fast enough.
Then where's she at?
I don't know where she is.
Where's her body at?
I don't know where she is.
She's dead, though. You know that?
This is a perfect example of when you talk to law enforcement too much, whether you're guilty or innocent, it's going to come back and hurt you.
And the father and son team of defense lawyers could do little to challenge much of the other prosecution's evidence, too. The gruesome photos of Taylor Wright's body wrapped in a hammock in a shallow grave, a bullet hole in the back of her head, the testimony about the cell phone towers that put Ashley MacArthur at the crime scene.
You have in the cell phone records the maps that were put into evidence. Cell tower near the Brit Road farm at 12:10 p.m.
The forged signature on Taylor's cashier's check deposited in Ashley MacArthur's bank account.
Taylor is missing, and she is still depositing Taylor's money.
And the suspicious text messages from Taylor's phone after she was likely dead. But then a video that the prosecution hoped would help clinch the case gave the defense a surprise opening. Surveillance video from a Home Depot of Ashley MacArthur buying concrete and potting soil the day after Taylor went missing. A store clerk, Devontae Sims, helped her make the purchase.
I was walking through the store and asked her, did she need help?
What was she looking for?
Type of concrete.
What type of concrete?
She just said she was, sorry, like a fast-setting concrete.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
A fast-setting concrete.
But then, looking at the crime scene photos, Sims testified the textured, rocky concrete on Taylor Wright's body appeared to be different than what Ashley MacArthur bought.
Is the concrete that this lady purchased, is it textured?
No, ma'am. It's like fine dust.
Is it like rocky?
No, ma'am.
What's it says?
No, ma'am.
The defense was jubilant.
I leaned back and made a comment to my dad. The comment was just boom, like I was happy. And I'm sure you can get the photographs. He said the concrete that Miss MacArthur bought was very fine like dust. The concrete on top of Taylor Wright's body was very pebbly. You could see rocks in it. It was not fine like dust.
And then the defense set out to prove in its case that Ashley MacArthur would not have been able to lift a 50-pound bag of concrete or even Taylor Wright's body because of a back injury she suffered 8 years earlier. Her mother, Rhonda Brit.
Did you see her ever lift any heavy objects?
No, she tried not to because it hurt her back.
Have you ever seen her lift anything like a 50-pound concrete bag or anything that heavy?
No.
And is that to this day?
Yes.
I think it definitely was hard to picture how this little girl could move a dead body. But at the same time, Taylor was not a big girl either. I think where there's a will, there's a way.
In the end, the defense case rested mostly on the fact there was only circumstantial evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA tying Ashley MacArthur to the crime scene.
When you were here, you were the lead investigator for the Escambia County Sheriff's Department on this investigation, is that correct?
Yes.
And as far as physical evidence or forensic evidence, you never found any physical or forensic or trace evidence that linked Ashley MacArthur to the homicide?
I did not know, sir.
It is the state's job to give you everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. And you heard some very unflattering information about Taylor Wright. And you may not like some of what you heard about Taylor Wright. But in this trial, she is the victim. So let's not forget that she was the 33-year-old mother of a child. And she was a human being. And our laws in the great state of Florida do not classify human beings. So her life means no less than anyone else's. And this woman sat there hour after hour in those interviews. You saw her, calm, cool, collected. Not 1 ounce of sadness or concern or worry for her friend that was missing. She was so forthcoming about all the bad things that Taylor did. But you know what she wasn't forthcoming about? Those deposits of Taylor's money that she made and that property on Brit Road. And why? Because as she sat there giggling and laughing and joking with law enforcement on September 18th, she knew that Taylor was out there on Brit Road. Because that's where she murdered her, and that's where she tried to cover up her body. Ladies and gentlemen, Ashley MacArthur had the motive. Ashley MacArthur had the opportunity. Ashley MacArthur murdered Taylor Wright, and then she tried to cover it up with lies, concrete, and potting soil.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Barry Barasset.
We're here about a murder case, the most serious crime you can be charged with. She is not charged with stealing any money. She's not charged with lying. She's not charged with being unfaithful. She's not on trial for anything other than first-degree murder. They've got to prove that the crime occurred, and they don't have any physical evidence. They have none. There's no DNA linking Miss MacArthur to Taylor Wright's death. There's no trace or scientific evidence linking her. You've seen enough on television. You see what happens when somebody's traumatized, if they've done something, if they've killed somebody, or if they've seen somebody kill somebody. You just don't turn that on and off. There's nothing to indicate anything in her demeanor through these videos that they've got, that they put in, or her clothing or her dishevelment, that indicates that she was killing somebody or dragging somebody's body around. There's nothing there. And that's strong evidence, physical evidence that you can see, not something that the state is suggesting. Here's the kicker. Now, the concrete, you have photographs. She put one of them up on the screen, a big one, and you saw the concrete. That concrete was rough concrete. It is not the concrete that she purchased. When you consider the evidence and the burden that the state has, I ask you to do your duty in this case, because there is a reasonable doubt, and I ask you to return a verdict of not guilty of Miss MacArthur.
All right, we're back on the record, State of Florida versus Ashley MacArthur. My understanding is we have a verdict.
They were out, I think, 4 hours, and you never know. You never know.
That seems like an eternity while you're waiting. It's 12 people. You know, it only takes one person to find a hole that, you know, that they don't think she's guilty.
Let me talk to everybody in the audience. Somebody out there is going to be unhappy. I don't know what the verdict is. I know there are some family members and friends for Ms. MacArthur, and presume that there are family members and friends for Taylor Wright.
I was in the courtroom. I am like 2 pews right behind Ashley. So the jury came in and there was a lot of unknown. What's going to happen, what's going to be said. And this judge, she talked about making sure that everybody was going to control their emotions when the verdict was read. And I was afraid. I had no clue what was going to happen at all.
Mr. Faust, were y'all able to reach a verdict? Yes, sir. Okay, all I want you to do is to hand it to court security, okay? I'm going to hand it to the clerk to publish.
Yes. In the Circuit Court in Forest, Gambia County, Florida, State of Florida versus Ashley Brit MacArthur, case number 1717CF005844A. Verdict as to the charge in count 1, we the jury find the defendant Ashley MacArthur guilty of first-degree premeditated murder with a firearm as charged in the indictment. So say we all. David A. Faust, foreperson, dated August 30th, 2019.
So I was trying to fight back all the tears and all the emotions and everything that I had been through.
So we knew that if she's convicted, the judge was going to sentence her right away, which the judge did.
I need all of you to stand. And Ms. MacArthur, I'm going to ask you one question. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? If so, say I do. Okay. Ms. MacArthur, I want to make sure that I ask you personally, do you want to say anything to the court? Okay. All right. Then, Ashley MacArthur, having been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by a jury of your peers of first-degree premeditated murder with a firearm, I am going to adjudicate you guilty. I'm going to sentence you to life with a mandatory minimum 25 years state prison.
In the end, justice was done.
And she'll spend the rest of her life?
She will spend the rest of her life in prison.
She's gone. She's really gone. This is done. It had been 2 years. And it was finally a book closed. It was, we're done. She did it.